The delegates of the People's National Party would have done all of the necessary assessments prior to casting their ballots on November 7th in the People's National Party's presidential elections, when they had to make a decision between choosing Mark Golding and Lisa Hanna for the post of the 6th President of the People's National Party. However, the differences were quite obvious on that day, as the People's National Party's delegates gathered in a somewhat friendly but rivaled way as they attempted to cast their ballots on Saturday. By midday, many persons would have voted for either Mark Golding or Lisa Hanna to replace Dr. Peter Phillips as the president of the People's National Party. The scene across various of these polling stations across parishes in Jamaica would have been one in which the supporters of Mark Golding would have appeared to be quite jovial and in a party mood, despite the rain that was falling on Saturday. They would have chatted and laughed and listened to music, and some of them would have been in a dancing mood as well. However, some of Hanna's supporters would have been in a much smaller number and a more tight-knitted group, and they appeared to be quite silent on Saturday as well, as they were in anticipation of the results coming out of the PNP presidential elections. However, before 5 p.m., the delegates would have left various locations and returned to their home, or returned to Kingston for the announcement of the polls results. And by 5 p.m. in Kingston, the official results of the People's National Party's presidential elections were announced. And Mark Golding had emerged the victor after winning by approximately 296 votes over Lisa Hanna's 1,444 votes in comparison to his total of 1,740 votes. Prior to that announcement, however, many persons would have been asking themselves and would have been asking other persons this poignant question: which of the two candidates was best suited to become the 6th president of the 82-year-old political organization called the People's National Party? This question was dominant across various discussions that were being had within the PNP and external to the political organization as well. Information coming from supporters of Lisa Hanna, who especially a former PNP councillor for the Ipswich division, and a Golding supporter who is a councillor from the Balaclava division and a former mayor of Black River, seems to have completely captured a picture of essence of opposing views. Based on what Hanna's supporter has said, Hanna was the right person to lead the PNP at this time because she was the choice of the people and she was best able to take over state power from Prime Minister Andrew Holness and the Jamaica Labour Party when the next parliamentary elections would have been called in 5 years' time. According to that fervent supporter of Lisa Hanna's presidential campaign challenge, if he were to listen to the people on the ground, there would have been no other choice but Comrade Lisa Hanna. Another supporter pointed out that Mark Golding's history dates back to his activism as a youthful follower of the legendary former Prime Minister Michael Manley, and he had an unblemished reputation in public life, both in terms of his capacity and his integrity. It was further mentioned that that supporter had listened to persons who have not been voting in the last elections, which represents 63% of Jamaicans that did not vote, and when he spoke to them, They were looking for someone who can bring back integrity to politics. And at this time, he saw Mark Jefferson Golden as the best person to bring back integrity to politics in Jamaica. The former mayor of Black River has hailed Mark Golden for his role as Justice Minister during the last PNP administration, which was led by former Prime Minister Portia Simpson Miller. It was further mentioned that many of the legislation that was put through during the Portia Simpson-led administration was piloted by the Justice Minister Mark Jefferson Golden. At this time, Mark's track record is impeccable. He came out highest in the Integrity Index, and I believe at this time that Jamaicans are looking for someone who they can really trust and believe in their credibility. For Lisa Hanna's supporter, however, the parliamentary election, which is due in the next 5 years, should be foremost in the minds of all comrades and the PNP as well. The important election is in 5 years' time, and it is not far away. Who is going to go up against Andrew Holness in an attempt to wrestle state power from the JLP government? And the young people were saying that the best person who could take on Andrew Holness for the leadership of Jamaica would be Lisa Hanna. However, none of us can take anything away from Mark Golden, but you have to have the connections. In politics, there is no second place. You either win or lose. This is the statement coming from one of Lisa Hanna's primary supporters in the parish of St. Elizabeth. And whilst that person has doubts in their mind that Mark Golden will be able to put up a formidable challenge against the current Prime Minister of Jamaica, Andrew Holness, for state power in the next 5 years, it should be noted that many persons have a different idea and they have different opinions on the matter. Now, what is your perspective? Do you also believe that it will be difficult for Mark Golden to wrestle state power from the very popular Andrew Holness, who is currently the Prime Minister of Jamaica? Do you believe Lisa Hanna would have put up a more formidable challenge against Andrew Holness if she had been selected as the 6th President of the People's National Party? Well, at this time, we will never know what will happen because Lisa Hanna lost the PNP's presidential elections. So it is a wait and see. We have to wait for 5 years to come to see how the People's National Party, under the leadership of Mark Jefferson Golden, will fare against the Andrew Holness-led JLP administration in attempting to take state power from the current government. Well, of course, Mark has the necessary skill sets and qualifications that are necessary. What he really needs is the strong support coming from his political organization. And if they provide him with the necessary support, he will have a formidable team to challenge the Jamaica Labour Party. But who knows, maybe the Jamaica Labour Party will be in government for a prolonged period of time. Maybe it is now their time to get a similar period that the P.J. Patterson-led PNP administration took in the 90s. Or maybe it will be Mark's time to lead in the next 5 years and it will be alternated between two parties. Thanks.